We just got historic news that I think this is the biggest piece of civil rights legislation that Congress has passed since the Americans with Disabilities Act in the early 1990s, the Respect for Marriage Act. I'm a proud co-sponsor of that bill on the Senate side. It was a bill that we thought we might not need. I joined with my colleagues in an amicus brief to the Supreme Court in 2015 when the Supreme Court in the Obergefell decision said marriage equality has got to be the law of the land. Every zip code, the Equal Protection Clause of the Fourth Amendment should give people the right to marry whom they choose. And once that was done, I think some of us thought the battle for marriage equality was over. But the Dobbs decision of the Supreme Court this summer, which threw out not just Roe versus Wade, but really 100 years of precedent under the 14th Amendment due process and equal protection clauses, directly poses a risk that the Supreme Court would overturn the Obergefell decision and once again leave millions and millions of people who want the right to marry whom they choose at risk, either to be blocked from doing that or to have the validity of their own marriages suddenly questioned. And so what the Respect for Marriage Act does is it repeals the Defense of Marriage Act from the 1990s, and it establishes not that every state must perform or recognize or must require the performance of same-sex marriages within the state, but every state has to recognize a marriage lawfully performed in another state. So somebody marrying in Virginia who moves to Tennessee or moves to Kansas or moves to Oregon shouldn't have to question if they've been legitimately married, whether the state they move to will recognize them or not for tax purposes, for purposes of hospital visitation, or basically just for the fundamental respect that you should be entitled to as part of a couple whose marriage has been celebrated and blessed by the laws of the state where you live. So now if you're legally married in the United States, wherever you go in the United States, that marriage will be respected. That's what this bill is about. It's about respect, and it's about equality in our nation. Always, when we steer by that North Star of equality, we don't get it wrong.